Hey guys, Asshat here. Today I'm back for day number 29 of r/RegularRevenge. And much like last episode, I'm basically doing the same thing again because I can't think of anything original for the start. We got 4 stories here. Let's get into them. We'll start off here. Don't tailgate the locals. They know where all the speed traps are. Instant karma story, and it wouldn't be noticeable if not for the timing and the cheering section. Edited because using initials for names bothers people, and I didn't see anything about that in the rules. Sorry. So, have actual college nicknames for extra ridiculousness. No, really. The scene: Ocean City, Maryland, mid-March. Off-season, but it was St. Patrick's Day weekend. A small silver car packed with crazy college students was driving through the inlet. The cast: Chaos, me, driver of the car full of college girls. Famine, my friend who was from Ocean City, in the passenger seat and was thus navigating. War, smartass in the back seat. Really, we make a point of trying not to drink when she talks. Death and pestilence. The lesser smartass is also known in the back seat. Asshat, the red pickup truck with no patience. We were driving around the inlet and had reached the point where the main road had dropped down to single lane and the speed limit was 30 miles per hour. Fireman warned me that while it was the off season, the cops were out in full force and really wanted to be careful about speeding. So I continued doing exactly 30 miles per hour. Asshat pulls in behind me, and when it became clear I wasn't going to speed at all, he was livid, honked a few times, flashed his brights, and according to my passengers, he was apparently screaming at me. I couldn't really tell. I was too focused on the fact that he appeared to be only inches away from my rear bumper. Now maybe I should have pulled off into a side street to get away from the crazy. His pickup could have smashed my little Civic, but I was pissed. Chaos. I hope he's not on something. Does he not realize there might be a reason I'm not speeding? War. If he rams you, I'll help you hide the body. Famine. Ignore him. Seriously. Also, what she said. That's what she said. I just kept on doing the speed limit and kept my eyes on the road. Fortunately, Asshat did not decide to ram me. After what seemed like an eternity, the road expanded to a 3-lane road again, and as soon as the light turned green, Asshat wasted no time in swerving around me and flying past me, flipping me off as we went. I cruised along at the posted speed limit. Seconds after he flew past me, we saw a cop flag him down. He didn't even make it 3 blocks before he got pulled over. Since there was almost nobody else on the road, I deliberately slowed down a bit to give us enough time for the guy to get out of his car, and we rolled down the windows. As we cruised by, all my friends cheered and waved out the windows. I kept my hands on the wheel and my eyes up front to keep the cop from having an excuse to pull us over too, but I had enough of a cheering section as it was. Death and pestilence blew the cop kisses. The driver looked pissed off, and the cop was cracking up. We tried to warn you. Well, don't drive angry. With that, we headed up the road, still doing the speed limit. Famine summed it up simply. Famine. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why you don't tailgate the locals. I actually spotted that red pickup truck one more time that weekend. He appeared to be very diligently doing the speed limit this time. Hey, he learned his lesson. He got caught and he learned his lesson. Make me do all your work and threaten me? Okay, now you get life in prison. This happened to me years ago, at 1985. My mother worked for what was the first computer supply company in the USA in lovely Compton, California, gaming capital of the world at the time. She had heard They needed an order puller, and I got the job. I hated this job right away because for some reason, after busting my ass for 8+ hours a day, I'd go sleep and dream I was still working, so I always felt tired. Most of the guys I worked with were good guys. One was a former Mexican mafia gang member, Victor, who gave up the life and really turned his life around. One day they hired Gino. He was an Italian-American, but wanted to be a Mexican gangbanger more than anything. He latched onto Victor after finding out about his past and was always asking about the gang lifestyle, and he was hoping that Victor could help him get into the gang. Victor told him about his life, but he refused to introduce him as he gave up and didn't want to go back. Gino wasn't happy about this. One day I started noticing Gino was finished working before all of us, and for some reason I was not finishing until way later than the others. I wasn't slacking or working slow, so I just started to wonder why. One day I saw Gino coming out of the warehouse manager's office area. It was just a desk between two partitions, acting strange when he noticed I saw him. We were given our stacks of orders for the day, and I noticed mine was double the size of Gino's. I figured he must have been putting his orders in my stack before the manager gave them out, but had no proof. The next day I got there early and climbed up on one of the storage racks. You know, the kind you see at Home Depot. Above the desk where I couldn't be seen. The manager was inside the office getting coffee when I saw Gino go to his desk and slip half of his orders into my pile. I waited until he left and went inside to tell the manager. He came out and counted the orders and noticed I had way more than I should have, and Gino's were half of what he had given him. When we all got together to get our orders later, all of them had a few extra in them, and Gino was gone. He got fired for what he did, but to make matters worse, he told Victor that he was coming back to kill me for reporting him, and Victor advised I leave because he knew he was serious, and that Gino wanted to have something like a killing on his reputation for getting into a gang. I was furious at the manager for telling him I reported him, so I quit on the spot, but not before going inside to tell my mum what happened. She was good friends with the owner and told him about the incident, and he was so sorry it happened, and he promptly walked out into the warehouse and fired the manager for putting my life in danger by not being more discreet about who reported Gino. I heard later he threw me under the bus because he was afraid of Gino himself. Oh, of course. Fast forward a few months and I had a better job working at a well-known amusement park. One night, the local Los Angeles channel had a special on gang violence that I watched. One segment was about an armed robbery in which two gang members robbed a convenience store, and the store video had the two gang members' faces clearly on screen, and there was sound as also. They not only robbed the store, but the one gang member shot and killed the clerk for no reason. Guess who that gang member was? Gino. I recognized him by his face, tattoos, and voice. But at the end, they said it was still unsolved and to call the LA County Sheriffs if there was any information. I called immediately, and two detectives came by the next morning. A few weeks later, the detective called me to thank me because they not only arrested him, but got the other guy too. Dumbass Gino even had the murder weapon on him when arrested. They contacted me a few months later to inform me that Gino and his friend both got life without parole. Don't bend over for that soap, Gino. Thanks for reading. It's long, but I think a good lesson for anyone wanting to join a gang. I am not gonna join a gang. I am not a person that would join a gang. But I love how you end it on a prison joke as well. It's just like, don't bend over for that soap, Gino. Woo! Right up there. Okay, next story. My boyfriend organized a sting operation against the guy who scammed his sister. This is a pretty long story, but it's also pretty crazy. Fernando, fake name, 23, is my boyfriend. He has a sister, Louisa, also a fake name, is 26, who lives in Bogota, Colombia. Louisa and her baby girl lived in quite an impoverished part of town, about 2 hours with public transport from the city centre. Recently, Louisa and the father of her child decided to buy a plot of land, with the hope of eventually building a house for themselves. They talked to this real estate agent and paid him almost all of their savings in cash. Fernando told me it's not uncommon for more impoverished people in Colombia not to use banks or have bank accounts. After they paid him the money, the guy stopped replying to their calls or messages and started ghosting them. Because of which, they started digging into him and discovered that this guy has loads of fake profiles on Facebook and lots of properties and plots of lands that he's claiming are his to sell. They felt hopeless after discovering this. It dawned on them that they lost a ton of money, all their savings. This was their hope at a fresh start. Hearing this, Fernando told her that he'd helped them out. He used an old, unused Facebook profile he had and changed the name on it. By replacing his profile picture, he made himself look like new money. Profile picture in front of a pool, a big house, and fancy cars in the background. He also brought a new SIM card and got in touch with this guy. He pretended to be interested in purchasing a property, and they agreed to meet. Fernando told the guy was quite trusting and naive himself, buying all of Fernando's bullshit about his wealth and his desire to buy a house. They agreed on a property Fernando was to put a deposit on, and so Fernando asked for his bank account to make the transaction. The guy was like, I'm having troubles with the bank, I'd much rather we do this with cash. So Fernando told him he could only give him a few thousands for cash, not the full amount. They had agreed to meet yesterday in front of his letting agency. Instead, Fernando called the police. He arranged that they'd be nearby with his sister and partner. Just in case, Fernando put some heavy branches in his backpack, giving the illusion that it had a lot of cash inside. On the day, Fernando told the guy, I'm here but I can't see you. Send me your live location. So the other guy did, which Fernando forwarded to his sister, who was with the police at the time. As the guy was talking to Fernando on the phone, the police and his sister could hear his every word. Fernando finally met the con man outside the agency, who was nervously looking around to make sure they were alone. It was at that moment that the police jumped in and caught him. They discovered 9 fake IDs on him, as well as hundreds of pages of counterfeit property ownership, similar to the ones that Fernando's sister Louisa was given. As they were arresting him, he tried to plead and even attempted to bribe the police, who luckily wasn't having any of it. We don't know if this story will have a happy ending. Louisa doesn't have a whole lot of evidence regarding the cash transaction and is unlikely to get the cash back through the court system. I'm proudly on words of my boyfriend basically organising a sting operation, but it breaks my heart that Louisa and her daughter have been conned off of a fresh start. So, half vengeance. Yeah. I hate scams. I have not been scammed once, I think, because a lot of the scams are really bad. They fail miserably. Even the messages are wrong. So it's just like, if you're gonna do this, you gotta do it right. Okay, last story. Dad gets revenge on homophobic couple. This is my first time posting on Reddit, so please bear with me. And also let me know if this isn't the right subreddit for this story. About 10 years ago, my parents and I went on holiday to India. The hotel we were staying at had an odd choice of doors for their hotel rooms. They were rustic-looking wooden doors with bolt locks on both the inside and outside of the door. There was also a regular lock beneath the bolt for locking your own room when you were out. Basically, you could bolt your door locked when you were on the inside, but anybody could bolt your door locked from the outside. Stupid idea, right? In the room next door to us was a lesbian couple, and in the room across from them were the homophobes. For the entire duration of our stay, the homophobes would verbally abuse the lesbian couple at any chance they got by calling them all sorts of derogatory names, and it really started to piss my family and I off. They came to head when every morning we would be awoken by one of the ladies next door, shouting over to us on the balcony that they couldn't get out of their room because the homophobic man had bolted their door shut. So our new morning routine would be to let them out of their hotel room, and of course, they were obviously really upset. Imagine someone purposely and spitefully setting out to relentlessly ruin your holiday just because of your sexual orientation. Honestly, it makes me sick. I remember one time my dad telling the ladies that the couple will get what's coming to them. And by God, they did. On the last day of our holiday, my dad took me out shopping early in the morning for one thing in particular. A lock. He went in every shop he could find, disregarding the small suitcase locks he was offered, until he finally found a huge, heavy-duty lock. Oh. We went back to the hotel room, and my dad bolted the homophobe's door shut and put the lock in place. Dad's logic was, if you're going to fuck with those ladies, I'm going to fuck with you back a lot worse. A taste of their own medicine, so to speak. Later that morning, when our taxi came to take us to the airport, my dad told my mum what he had done, and she was lukewarm to the idea. The one thing she asked was, did you at least leave the key under the mat? That was when my dad, without saying a word, removed the key from his pocket, opened the window of the taxi, and tossed it onto the motorway. I know it wasn't the most morally correct thing to do to bolt and lock someone in their room for God knows how long, at least until the staff could find some bolt cutters, but if there's one thing I hate, it's a homophobe. It's a homophobe. If you ask me, they had it coming. And forgot to say, it was the homophobes' last day of the holiday, and I honestly hope to God they missed their flight. Nice. I love how the dad's just like, you gotta take this out of my pocket, open the window, whoop, and it is gold. Didn't even say a word, he's just like, oh. Although, I'm pretty sure if you're not careful, you would hit a car with that, so not a smart idea. Anyways, links will be in the description to my main channel and also this channel that you're on right now that has links to the playlist and the last episode. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when the next video comes out. A ding on Mad Scientist. Mad Scientist out.